The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Thursday, February 5th, 2026. My screen time yesterday hit 14 hours, which honestly is a flex because I managed to witness 3 separate constitutional crises in real time without blinking. The timeline is absolutely cooked today. It's giving late-stage Empire DLC pack. Like, the devs have just given up on logic and are just throwing random disasters at us to see who survives.
I'd say it's more like a chaotic, rain-delayed tennis match in Queens, kid. Everyone's exhausted, the court is slick, and the umpire is clearly hallucinating. I'm sitting here in the apartment, sirens wailing on the Van Wyck, 3 cold cups of coffee on the deck, and I'm looking at these headlines thinking, are you kidding me with this? We've got a busy show today, honestly. A lot of developments to discuss.
High-key busy. We're tracking the literal collapse of the EPA's soul, a nuclear treaty going up in smoke at midnight, and some major main character energy from Abigail Spanberger in Virginia. It's a packed episode, so if you're listening while the world burns, at least the vibes are consistent.
Let's start with the boots on the ground. Maya, you've been tracking this ICE surge on the Hell site, formerly known as Twitter. What's the actual status of the ratio out there?
Oh, ICE is currently in its total flop era. No, literally, a new NPR and PBS News Marist poll just dropped today, and it's a jump scare for the feds. 65% of Americans, 65%, believe ICE enforcement has gone way too far. 6 months ago, that was 54. That is a crucial shift in the narrative.
65%. That's not a lean. That's a landslide. You hate to see the federal government treat the Bill of Rights like a terms and conditions page nobody reads.
Right? And get this, 27% of Republicans are now saying ICE is being too aggressive. When you lose the Blue Lives Matter crowd because you're doing grocery store raids, you know the vibes are rancid. But the big news is Oregon. A federal judge, Mustafa Kazbai, just hit ICE with a preliminary injunction. He basically told ICE to stop doing warrantless arrest unless they can prove a likelihood of escape.
I gotta tell you, seeing a judge use the word brutal to describe federal agents, that's significant. Kazbai didn't mince words. He called the arrest first, justify later policy a violation of basically everything we pretend to stand for. It's like a plumber telling you the entire foundation is rotted out, not just the pipes.
No, literally. And while Oregon is fighting in the courts, Abigail Spanberger in Virginia just chose violence. She signed an executive directive terminating all active 287G agreements. She's basically telling ICE to stay out of Virginia's police departments. It's a total power move.
Look, I've had my issues with Spanberger. Just sometimes she plays too much for the center. But this is grit. This is realizing that if you let the feds turn your local cops into a deportation force, you're essentially breaking the trust of the neighborhood. It's bad policing, it's bad politics, and it's just plain wrong.
It's high-key satisfying to see a Democrat actually read the room. Okay, but while Virginia is locking the door, Texas, as usual, is doing the absolute most to be the villain. Mary, you were looking at this medical board stuff?
I was, and look, I gotta tell you, it's a mess. Look, here's the deal. Today, February 5th, the Texas Medical Board finally broke years of what I call dangerous silence. They released this self-administered online training course for doctors. It's the first time since Dobbs they've actually provided specific scenarios for when an abortion is legally allowed to save a mother's life.
Is it actually helpful, or is it just more NPC dialogue to protect the state?
It's a legal shield, Maya. That's all it is. They outline 9 scenarios, things like inevitable miscarriage or where a patient's water breaks before the baby can survive. But get this, the guidance says a patient's life doesn't need to be in imminent danger, which sounds good, right? But the catch is every doctor in the state has to take this course by 2027 to keep their license.
So they're forcing doctors to learn how to barely follow the law while still being terrified.
Exactly. And the burden of proof? It's shifted. Now, a prosecutor has to prove that, quote unquote, no other doctor would have made that medical judgment. It's better than it was, but it's still practicing medicine with a lawyer looking over your shoulder and handcuffs on the table. Are you kidding me? This isn't healthcare. It's a hostage negotiation.
It's giving, we'll let you live, but only if you fill out these 3 forms in triplicate while the patient is bleeding out. It's such a flop. But okay, speaking of lawyers and institutions, we have to talk about Nike and the EEOC because this is a total reverse Uno card on civil rights.
Oh, I saw this. My nephew Vector was actually talking about this on his show, The Daily Delusion, as I call it. He's all excited because the government is finally targeting corporate overreach. I told him he wouldn't know overreach if it hit him in his overpriced VR goggles.
Vector is such a mood. But no, for real, the EEOC chair, Andrea Lucas, just launched a major probe into Nike's DEI programs. They've subpoenaed records going back to 2018. The allegation is disparate treatment against white employees.
Are you kidding me? We're using the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, a tool forged in the fires of the civil rights movement, to protect white managers at a multi-billion-dollar sneaker company while their global supply chain is still a disaster.
Literally, it's the weaponization of fairness to dismantle equity. It's high-key gaslighting. And it's not just Nike. There's a new AI pilot in Medicare that's making everyone lose their minds. Basically, algorithms are being used for prior authorization. So instead of a doctor deciding if you need a procedure, a black box says no because it doesn't fit the profit model.
It's digital snake oil, Maya. It's the same thing Vector peddles. You take the human out of the equation and suddenly grandma doesn't get her hip replacement because the math says it's not efficient. It's labor theft, too. It's taking the professional judgment of doctors and nurses and replacing it with a spreadsheet. It's a disgrace.
No, literally, it's a humanity is mid era for the government. Okay, Mary, we need to talk about what's happening in your neck of the woods. Queens. The Jabez Chakrabarty story it's trending for all the wrong reasons.
I gotta tell you, this one hurts. Jabez was 22. Mental health history. His family did the right thing. They called 911 because he was having a crisis. The transcript came out yesterday. It's heartbreaking. The family explicitly asked for an ambulance. They asked for involuntary transportation, for medical help. But the operator, they have a script. You mention a crisis, it triggers a police response.
The body cam footage is, I can't even, within 60 seconds of the NYPD entering that house, they fired 4 shots. Jabez had a kitchen knife, but he's in his own kitchen having a breakdown. He's on a ventilator right now. It's just, why is the only tool we have is a gun?
It's like trying to fix a watch with a sledgehammer, Maya. Look, NYC Mayor Zohran Mamdani visited the family Wednesday. He's using this, rightfully so, to push his Department of Community Safety. He wants clinicians and peer counselors, not guys in tactical gear, responding to these calls.
And Cleveland just passed Tanisha's Law, right? Named after Tanisha Anderson?
They did. Finally. It only took them, 12 years? It codified a non-police response for mental health calls. It's a glimmer of hope, but I hate that it always takes a body to get a law. It's like waiting for the roof to collapse before you decide to fix the leak.
It's high-key exhausting. But hey, at least the Supreme Court isn't entirely in its villain arc today. They just let California keep its new congressional map.
Oh, I love this one. Gavin Newsom is out there acting like he just hit a walk-off home run.
No, literally, it's a total clapback. Texas redrew their maps mid-decade to give Republicans 5 more seats, and Trump was out there being like, I'm entitled to these. So California was like, oh, word, and passed Proposition 50, which basically hands 5 seats back to the Democrats. SCOTUS just gave it the green light today.
It's a redistricting war. It's like 2 neighbors moving their fences back and forth across the property line while the rest of the neighborhood burns down. But hey, in this climate, I'll take a win for the voters, even if it's just a partisan counterpunch.
It's the petty is a policy era. But Mary, while the courts are playing map games, the EPA has, it's officially stopped caring about human life. You saw that report?
I did. And I'm telling you, this is the most cynical thing I've seen in 40 years of journalism. The Environmental Integrity Project just released their 2025 numbers. The Department of Justice filed only 16 legal actions on behalf of the EPA. 16. That's an 87% drop from the Obama years. 87%.
Wait, so the EPA is basically just a do what you want pass for corporations now?
It's worse than that. As of January, they've started using this new sledgehammer methodology for cost-benefit analysis. When they evaluate a new pollution rule, they now assign a $0 value to health benefits like avoided asthma attacks or premature deaths.
0. So me being able to breathe is literally worth nothing on the spreadsheet.
Not a dime, kid. If a company can save $1 million by dumping ozone into the air and 10,000 people get sick, the math now says the company winning is the only thing that counts. It's a moral vacuum. Are you kidding me with this? We're literally valuing corporate profits over the breath in our lungs.
It's giving, like, Captain Planet villain, but make it a spreadsheet. It's high-key sociopathic. And it's not just the air. It's the literal end of the world. Mary, the New START treaty, it's over.
Midnight last night, February 5th, 2026, the last remaining bilateral nuclear agreement between the U.S. and Russia just expired. For the first time since 1972, since I was a kid starting out, there are no legally binding limits on the two largest nuclear stockpiles on Earth. None.
And Trump is just like, if it expires, it expires. That is major main character in a disaster movie energy.
He wants a trilateral deal with China, but China's out there saying, look, we've got 500 warheads. You guys have 5,000. Call us when you've done some cleaning. Russia's saying they aren't provoked yet, but they aren't bound by anything anymore. It's a world without limits, Maya. And in the nuclear age, no limits is just another way of saying no future if we're not careful. It's like two guys standing in a pool of gasoline with a handful of matches, and they just agreed to throw away the fire extinguishers.
It's a flop era for human survival. No, literally. Look, we talk a lot about systems on this show, but we need to talk about labor. Independent media like this doesn't just manifest out of the ether. It takes real human work to build the infrastructure. We are 100% here because of the vision and the grind of Eric Christensen. He is not a media conglomerate. He is a builder who poured his own resources and time into creating this platform so we could have these conversations. If you value independent voices over corporate algorithms, please consider visiting our new Patreon at patreon.com/neuralnetworkmedia to support Eric's work. It's an act of solidarity that keeps the lights on and the servers running. He really is the best. He's the guy making sure the ink flows and the lights stay on. Give him some love. Okay, we gotta pivot because the administration's assault on trans rights has moved from mean tweets to actual hospital closures. Maya, what's the word on San Diego? Ugh. It's so dark. Rady Children's Hospital in San Diego, the biggest kids hospital in California, is shutting down its Center for Gender-Affirming Care tomorrow, February 6th. The federal government basically used the Medicare mandate to force their hand.
The power of the purse, it's the ultimate dirty trick.
Right? HHS made prohibiting gender-affirming care a condition for receiving federal funds. Since every hospital relies on Medicare and Medicaid, they basically told Rady, stop treating these kids or we bankrupt your entire facility. It's a de facto national ban. Even in sanctuary states like California, the hospitals are folding because they can't afford to lose their funding.
It's a siege. They're surrounding the hospitals and starving out the patients. It's heartless. And it's a calculated move to erase an entire community by making their existence a financial liability for the institutions that are supposed to protect them. Are you kidding me? We're treating children's healthcare like a bargaining chip.
It's high-key horrific. And while they're attacking hospitals, the DHS funding fight is hitting a flashpoint. Schumer and Jeffries just dropped a list of 10 guardrails for ICE. No masks, mandatory body cams.
Oh, they finally found a spine. I've been waiting for this. Look, DHS is on life support funding that expires on February 13th. The Democrats are finally saying if you want your border money, you have to act like a civilized agency. No masks during raids, always on body cameras, and no more administrative warrants where you just walk into someone's house because you feel like it.
They also want to ban enforcement near sensitive locations like schools and churches, which, honestly, the fact that we have to legislate that is such a red flag.
It is. It's like having to pass a law saying you can't smoke in a nursery. It should be common sense, but when the feds are acting like a rogue army, you've got to put it in writing. But Maya, we have to get to the big one. The Donald J. Trump and John F. Kennedy Memorial Center.
No, literally. The rebrand is so cringe. For those missed the Truth Social post, Trump announced he's shutting down the Kennedy Center for at least 2 years for renovations, starting July 4th. Look, I've covered some pretty blatant power grabs in my time, but this is a hostile takeover of the nation's stage. It's not about renovations. It's about cultural austerity. The administration's new budget wants to wipe out the National Endowment for the Arts, the Humanities, and Public Broadcasting entirely. It's the Dodge influence. They're calling the arts woke waste. They're also putting in these new rules where if you want a grant, you have to certify you're not promoting gender ideology or DEI. It's literally state-sponsored art or nothing. It's the death of the American imagination. If they can't control the story, they'll just shut down the theater. The National Symphony Orchestra is scrambling. Broadway is on edge. We're watching a systematic dismantling of our cultural heritage. They're replacing the John F. Kennedy legacy with a gold-plated vanity project. No, literally. A survey from the American Alliance of Museums says 30% of museums are now at risk of closing because of these federal cuts. We're literally watching our history get deleted in real time. It's the Great Reset, but for culture. It's a war on anything they don't own. But you know what? They can shut the doors, but they can't stop the music. People are going to perform in the streets. They're going to find ways to create because that's what we do. They want a cultural desert. Well, I've seen what grows in the desert when it finally rains, and it's a lot tougher than they think. Spite art is the best art anyway. Honestly, the Trump Memorial Center is going to be a 24/7 protest site. The vibes are going to be immaculate. I'll bring the coffee. You bring the whatever it is you kids use to broadcast things these days. My 14-hour screen time will be put to good use, Mary. Trust. Okay, that's our show. The world is a mess. The government is assigning zero value to our lives, and the Kennedy Center is getting a gold foil makeover. But we're still here. And as long as we're talking, they haven't won. Hold the line, Queens. Keep the grit. No, literally. Don't let the algorithm gaslight you. We're in our resistance era. Catch you on tomorrow.